Hey guys, welcome to my Samoan language instruction on because. This time we're going to have some common phrases for you and no vocabulary. So here's some common phrases for you. I think they'd be pretty good to get down and to work on. Okay? So, patterns. So there's a couple different ways as to say because in Samoan, and we're going to learn a couple different patterns with why and because. So the first one would be why, and that's aisea. So why is aisea. And then why are you and I going, or we going, is tate o I. Okay? And then you could also say, why do we study? Tato te awa uai. That would be all of us. Why didn't you shower? Aisea sa ele ta ele ai. And why aren't you happy? Aisea e te le fia fia ai. Okay? So then you'd have to respond with a because, and one way that you could say because is awa, and this is what you've seen in the scriptures if you read any Samoan scriptures. And you could also see it or hear it in Samoan language, everyday talk. But I think there's other ways that you'll hear it a little bit more often. We'll get to that in a little bit. But you could say awa, because I wanted to go downtown, o te fia alu ile taulanga. We want to understand Samoan. Awa tato te fia malamalama ile fa'a Samoa. Then you could say, I didn't want to shower. Awa sa ole fia ta'ele. And I don't understand Samoan. Awa o te le malamalama ile fa'a Samoa. So just a reminder, I didn't really do it, but when you're asking a question, just remember to raise your intonation at almost at the very end, and then lower it at the very end. So, aisia ta te oai, okay? Aisia ta te oai, okay? So just remember to lower that intonation at the very end, and then with statements, you don't need to do that. You just keep everything even. Okay, here's a couple more. Why or what's the reason are you sleepy? Okay, this is another way to say why or what's the reason. Oleale mea, are you sleepy? E te fia moi ai. Okay, oleale mea e te fia moi ai. Then you could say, why didn't those two come, or they come? Oleale mea sa la le o mai ai. Okay, salaleo mai. That's kind of a tongue twister. Why aren't we going to play? Oleale mea tato te le ta'alo ai. Okay, so just remember there's always an I here at the end. I don't think there was a... Yeah, so when you ask why or what's the reason, just remember to follow with I. And for now, I just want you to remember that. We'll get to why you do that in a later video. That'll be one of our last videos. But just remember, when you ask a lot of questions, a lot of times you'll follow it up with I. There's other usages of it, but for now, just remember that. Oleale mea, why aren't we going to play, or what's the reason we're not going to play? Oleale mea tato te le ta'alo ai. Okay. And then, why are you sick? Oleale mea e te ma'i ai. And that could be a joke or a real question, whichever. And then here's another because. This has more of a negative connotation to it. And you can pronounce it as just bad as itself, leanga, or a lot of times I heard it slurred as lenga. Okay? So whichever one, you'll hear lenga quite a bit, but I didn't sleep in the night. Because I didn't sleep in the night, leanga sa ole moi ilepo, or lenga sa ole moi ilepo. Or because those two are sick, lenga sa mama'i la ua. And because the gymnasium is closed, lenga watapunia le falita alo. Or because I ate the food in the cafeteria, and I'm sorry that these two I's should be capitalized. I just noticed that. Forgive me. So, lenga sa o ai ile mea ai ile fale ainga. And know that I didn't just choose random ones. Why are you sleepy? This question right here, you could answer it with this. Why are you sleepy? What's the reason you're sleepy? Because I didn't get any sleep last night, or I didn't sleep last night, okay? So there's that. Now we're going to be talking a little bit more. So those were patterns, okay? So the two different forms of because that we talked about were awa, okay? Awa, not awa, awa. And then leanga or lenga, whichever one. And then the third one, the one that I think is most common, is ona. This one's a little bit more tricky to grasp. That's why I'm teaching it to you in this video like this, okay? So, ona is additional way to express the word because. And when you connect two clauses together, ona is most often followed by the tense marker ua. So, you'll see ona and ua a lot. That doesn't mean that's the only combination of a tense marker and ona you'll see, but it's the most common one you'll see when you're connecting clauses, okay? And wua at the last part of the sentence, although ona may begin a sentence for emphasis or stylistic effect. So when I say because at the beginning in Samoan, I'm adding emphasis to that part or a stylistic effect to that part of the sentence, okay? So normally you'll see ona in the middle of the sentence, but you could also put it at the very beginning, just like you do in English, okay? So here's a couple examples. Here's the one where I connect a clause. So the boy isn't coming, so that's the first clause. And so the way that I would translate that is a lay sao, and I'm having troubles. So a lay sao le tama, okay, that's the first clause. We should be able to do that with our sentence structure. And then because his father died. So this is kind of a sad sentence. And the second clause is his father died. But you can't just say the boy isn't coming, his father died. I guess you could, but it wouldn't be as common as saying a because. This because right here, just like in English, connects the two clauses very nice. It's one of those sorry, I'm just having an episode of fobness. It's a it's a conjunction. Sorry. I had to literally pause the video and tell myself how to say that in English. So, I'm sorry. The more and more Samoan I speak, the more fob I become. So, excuse me for that. So, a conjunction, because, is a conjunction. And remember, conjunctions, they connect two clauses. And that's what we have here. So, I translated the first one, and then that because is ona. I could say awa or leanga, especially leanga or lenga in this case. But you'll also see ona in some cases. You'll say ona, and then I'll do my second clause, and that is, again, his father died. Ua, having trouble. Let's try that one more time. So ua, oti, lona, tama. Okay, so tama is going to have a macron on that A. Okay, so that's the first sentence. Let's try doing the second sentence. So this one has a because at the beginning of the sentence, and so because the test was hard, that is my first clause. So the test was hard, but I have this because. It's you could also see this as a response to another question. Okay, so because I throw that because on there, so ona, and then I have my clause, and my clause is going to be ua whaingata. The test was in the past, and it was kind of in the near past, so that's why I'm using ua whaingata le suenga. Okay, so that's the first clause. And then the second clause is I don't need a conjunction in this case. I already used kind of my connecting word. So the girl cried. So because the girl cried, or because the test was hard, the girl cried. So I just use another tense or sentence structure right here. The girl cried, and that would be past tense marker saw, and then the verb tangi, and then the subject, the girl, letene. Okay, so hopefully that made sense to you. And here's a couple more things that I want you to know about ona. Ona may also occur before the past tense marker. Before past tense markers, I should probably take away that before past tense markers. And it's usually, when I use the past tense with ona, it's usually the indeterminate past, sa. And it also can be used before non-past tense markers, a and te. And you could probably see it in the future tense as well. Can't think of any right now. If I said, because he will go to school tomorrow, you could use ona as well. So there we go. So let's just kind of note that I can use other tense markers with ona. So let's just kind of see that. So the boy was sick. That's my first part of the sentence. That's my first clause. And so just remember, was kind of indicates a past tense. So that's going to say sa. And then sick is my predicate phrase or my verb. So that's mai. And then the boy is my subject. Okay? The boy was sick. And that's my first clause. That's all there is to that. Then I have my conjunction because, I don't even remember what I was saying last time, but forgive me, that was pretty hilarious. So it's a conjunction, and so that's ona. And then he ate some bad food. So he ate some bad food is my second clause here. And again, this is another past tense. And so I'm going to use sa for my past tense marker. And then I'm going to use what's my verb? My verb is eat or ate. So sa I. And then who's the one doing the eating is o ia. And then some bad food. Ni mea ai leanga or nisi mea ai leanga. Either one in this case, okay? Moving on to the second sentence structure. It's hard because I don't know the way. It's hard. So this isn't a sentence by itself. It's just a phrase, okay? It's just a phrase. So, and that's okay. You can have phrases as that act as clauses, okay? So a phrase can act as a clause. So it's hard. All I do is say a leanga. I use a tense marker, and it's a habitual tense marker because it's always hard, or habitually it's hard. So a leanga. That's my first clause of this sentence. And then I have my conjunction because, and that's ona. And then I don't know the way. O te le iloa is I don't know. O te le iloa, the way. Leala, okay? So hopefully that made sense. And then the last thing that I want to bring up is if ona is followed by the particle o, so I have this ona and the particle o, then the resulting expression may be translated as because of or on account of. So if I have ona o, if I have these two things highlighted and they're together as written like this, if I just said ona o, then I can change the translation to because of or on account of, okay? So, and I think the because of is it should make sense because of, the because part is this ona part and the of part is this o part. But the other cool thing about it is you can also translate it as on account of, okay? So just remember that cool trick. So we'll look at some other examples. So because of the rain, the game was not held. So this is a because of sentence, okay? Because of, so if I want to say because of, then I use ona o. I use ona o, and that's right here, okay? Because of the rain comes right after. You just translate it the same way you would in English. And then the game was not held. So then I would use my normal sentence structure. The game was not held. I, for some reason, like the past tense a lot when I give you sentence structure. So, sa le faya le ta'alonga. Okay, so sa le faya le ta'alonga. The game is the ta'alonga, so this part and this part. That's the one thing that's a little backwards. Was not held, because you have to think, what is my action in this sentence? My action is not held, so that's past tense, not held, sa le faya, and then the game is the object, so le ta'alonga. Okay, so then my second example sentence is all the people will be blessed because of the love of God. So if you ever go to Samoa or you know a lot of Samoan people, then you'll know they have a tremendous respect for God. They're God-fearing people. They're very, very committed to the gospel. So, all the people will be blessed. So that's my first phrase or clause. And so let's just translate that. So will be blessed. That indicates to me a future tense. So olea, let's fix that. Olea, and then my verb is bless. So fa'amanuia ina, and then everyone or all people, tangata uma, right there. So let's move on to the second clause. So my second clause has a conjunction here, blessed. Sorry, that will be because. And then my second clause is because of the love of God. So ona is the because. And then ole alofa, the love of the God. Okay? So ole alofa, ole atua. So if you remember our first sentence structure I taught you an O, and then something, and then another O, and then something. Well, that is this sentence structure here. Okay? So in the second clause. Okay, so moving on, here's some practice sentences. I encourage you to pause the video and try this out. Okay, so unfortunately for you and for me, I forgot to add the answers, so I'm going to add these in manually. So the family is saddened because the mother is ill. So what do we have here? Well, first off, we need to remember, okay, where's my tense marker? This statement does have a verb in it, so I need a tense. So my tense is going to be a, because the family, we don't know if the family was saddened in the past. They're still saddened, so we're going to use an a. And then the thing that goes next is my verb. So e fa'a noa noa. The reason why my verb goes next is because, e fa'a noa noa. So I'm just going to translate this part first. Because fa'a noa 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 goes first because I'm having a noun act as my subject. And I have to use the emphatic sentence structure in that case. So, e fa'a noa noa, le ainga. Okay, so let me grab my marker again. So, le ainga. Okay, so that's how you translate the first clause. And if I wanted to, I could put that on there. And then the next part I would have is an ona. And the ona comes next, and that will be, just for clarity's sake of showing you that it's just a conjunction. It's not part of either of the clauses. The second clause will be the mother is ill. Okay, so we've kind of done these sentences before, but not with because. So the mother is ill. Okay, so what do I say? I say ona. I could say e ma'i, or I could say ua ma'i. Okay, ona ua ma'i. That's the one I'd probably hear more, so I'm going to put ua. And if you said a, that's fine too. Ua ma'i, and then le tina. Okay, so again, another emphatic sentence structure because I have a noun, the mother, acting as the doer. Okay, so that's, hopefully you were able to get that sentence. The next sentence, in English, I'm not going to write this out, but let's just kind of work on this together. So sa le fa'atau nu'u. So that by itself, we need to know, okay, past tense. Le just negates whatever's going to happen. Fa'atau nu'u. So fa'atau nu'u, I don't know if I gave you this verb, but that means either accomplish or complete. And so in the past tense, didn't complete. That's all I know to this point. If I keep going on, ele tama, then I know the boy didn't complete whatever he was supposed to do. And ona tute. So ona tute is his duties. And the reason why it's his duties is because ona is the plural version of the possessive pronoun his. Okay, so ona tute. So the boy didn't complete his duties. And then ona, this is because, in the past tense he, tafau, this is a word that you'll probably hear a lot. He wandered is what it literally means, but it has a lot of different meanings to it. It has like messing around, or if you're from Australia, mucking around. That's kind of what tafau is. And if the plural version is tafafau, okay? And then in the house of his girlfriend, okay? So hopefully you were able to get that. Moving on, the young ladies laughed on account of his foolish story. This was kind of a more tricky one. So this is Laughed indicates to me a past tense, so I'm going to say saw. And it could have been na, but in this case it's saw. So the saw. And then the hard part about this is the laugh part. The laugh in this is hard because ata is laugh, but for multiple people, I put on a fe at the beginning, and then there's a glottal right here, fe atai, and I put an I on the end. So sa featai is a plural version of laugh. Okay, so because there's more than one lady laughing, then you have to say this part right here and add the I on the end. And you'll just have to remember that. That's one of those trickier ones. We did kind of talk about that a while back. And then the people who are laughing, I'm going to write this out just a little bit better. And I'm going to use marker. Marker looked a little better. So sa, fe, atai. Okay. And then who's the one doing the laughing? The young ladies. Okay. And so what order do I do that in? Well, I do it in tamai tai. Tamai. And I'm running out of room, and that would be tamai tai. And that should have that. Safe tai tamai tai talavo. The talavo, the young ladies, the young part comes after the ladies because it's an adjective. It's describing the ladies. Okay, so the young ladies laughed. Okay. And then on account of, this is another way of saying because of, it's one of those examples I gave you right here. When I say ona o, it can also mean an account of, okay? So that's what I'm doing here. And so what you need to do for the next part is you say ona, and then you add an o right after it because I'm saying on account of. And if I wanted to, I could just say because, but you'll hear on account of too. So ona o on account of is ona o, okay? And then the next phrase or the next part of the sentence, of his foolish story. So, and I guess we don't need to put of his foolish story. So his foolish story would be Lana. Let me get my marker again. Sorry, Lana. And that should be a little longer. Lana, Tala, Lana, Tala. And then this is actually, instead of foolish, it's stupid, Valea. Or Valea could also mean foolish as well. Okay, so moving on to our last one. And again, I apologize for not having these answers. Ona sa, so let's just think of this. Ona to me means because, and then sa means past tense. Fia avea. Well, fia, hopefully you remember what fia is. Fia is the way that I say want for intangible things. And then avea, intangible things means things you can't touch. And then avea is what we talked about in our last video. Because. So ona sa fia avea. Because. Or sorry, not because. Sorry, I am leading you astray. Avea means become. Okay, so because Safia avea, because in the past tense wanted, become. That's all I know to this point. Because past tense wanted or want, become. Ma mele, and the reason why I put ma there is because avea, the way that I do those sentence structures is I have a ma come right after it. So avea ma mele, and I know this sentence structure is a little bit different than what we learned, but just remember, you can change the sentence structure a little bit depending on the way that you want to make it come across. Another way that I could translate this sentence is ona Safia avea. Man, I am struggling with this pen. Safia avea mele ma, and then I would say tangata pisinisi. I'm not going to put it that way. So basically, if you wanted to do it the way that I taught you, and the way that I taught you is normally the way that they say it, but you'll also, when they complex a lot of different features, you have ona in here, you have a want, and then you also have an avea. That's kind of a complex sentence. So you could put the mele in between fia and avea, or you could write it like I did. And it's not a huge deal either way that you do it. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video because of time, but I hope this helped. And until next time, guys, tofa soy fua.